What's up, YouTube producers? This is your boy Broke Shady, back at it again with another good one for you. In this video, we're going to be showing you how to make a MOBB type beat. Chill, kick back, relax. And in this video, I'm going to dive more into sound selection and mixing. So not so much into the beat making, but how to get there, the steps to make your beat sound better. So without further ado, I think in this one, I'm going to start with the drums. And I'm going to show you which drums you should go with for your beat. So for a more relaxed MOBB type beat, what you want to do for your kick is you want to find like a soft, more acoustic, natural sounding kick. For your drums overall, you want just more of like a natural acoustic kit sample. So for your kick, you should go with something soft, a little punchy. Here's a couple that I have loaded up. Listen to these. So not too aggressive, but you want a little bit of that punchiness to it. And then for your hi-hat, I would go with something a little more kind of soft, but dirty and acoustic, naturally sounding. So I got these two here. And then finally, you're going to want to choose if you want to use a snare or a rim shot. For a snare, I would go with something a little more thick, a little more heavy, aggressive, natural sounding. In this beat, I'm going to use a rim shot, and I got two here. You just want something, you know, snappy, clicky, that's going to cut through. So I got those two rim shots. And then another thing I've noticed with their drums mixing wise is you want to add a little bit of reverb to it. So you can definitely hear it on the rim shot here. Not too much. You don't want to go crazy with that because it's just drums, but you just want a little bit of air, a little bit of space there. So when you go to lay down these drums, I would go with a more slower, chilled tempo, probably somewhere between 90 and 100, maybe a little over 100. So for this beat, I'm going to go with 95. I got my samples chosen and my tempo ready to go, so I think I'm all set to record some drums. Alright, I've got that part recorded. Now this next step here is extremely important. You don't want to leave your drums unquantized, and at the same time you don't want to quantize them so much that you lose the feel. So here's what I do. You choose which beats you want to be exactly in time. Like my snare here, I want that to be right in time. So I'm going to highlight all those, or you can just click this piano key here, and then I'm going to hit Control U to quantize that. Reason I don't just grab everything and quantize it all at once is because I'm not the most perfect in-time player, and a lot of times it doesn't read me the right way. So I like to go in and move them myself so I know for sure that it's exactly where I wanted it to be. And it's okay to be meticulous about this because this is your art, this is your work. You want this to sound exactly the way you intended it to. So what I ended up doing here was I made sure the snare and kick, well, the rim and kick were completely in time. I quantized those almost perfectly, and then I purposely left the hi-hats so they weren't perfectly in time, so it does sound like it's actually a human at the kit. For the more old school laid back type beats, you want more of a natural feel. You don't want it to sound more like robotic. So for these types of beats, you want to try and find like a dark melody for this. A lot of times I hear piano or guitar samples. So on this one, I think I'm going to record a guitar. Alright, so I got my guitar plugged in, I'm ready to record, but before I do anything, the first thing I want to do is make sure my instrument is in tune. This is extremely important because it's not easy to fix in post-production. It's extremely easy to just bring up a tuner real quick and tune up your instrument. So take the time to do that. So you can play an instrument or use a sample, but I would suggest you use a minor key for this to give it a more dark sound. With your bass pattern or your 808 pattern, you don't have to go super crazy, but what's important is that you follow the kick drum pattern. The smoother your 808 fits in with your kick drum, the better your beat is going to sound, especially on a system where it can handle the bass. You're going to want to make sure that they match. Okay, I've got my 3 key elements to a beat: the sample, the drums, and the bass. So now I want to talk about mixing. So what I like to do with my beats is mix them as I go, so that way when I get to the end and I have to mix this whole thing, it's not some giant beast that I have to tackle. It's just something that's I've already conformed to what I like, and it already sounds the way I want it to. So I'm just kind of doing some finishing touches and cleaning things up. The first thing you want to watch out for is your levels. So right down here at the bottom of your master, you'll see a little level thing there, and if you see that hitting the red, that's bad. You got to really use your ear, and if you got monitors, speakers, it's better to use that than headphones. And it's important to listen to your beats on different mediums. You got headphones, you got speakers, you got your car, any different way that you can play it off of your phone. You want to listen to it in all those different ways so you make sure it sounds good in all of them. So I'm going to start with mixing my guitar sample, and what you want to make sure you do here is take out the lows so it's not conflicting with your bass, and then just kind of accent what you like about it. So don't be afraid of using an EQ. Play around with it. Use your ear more than your eyes. Don't be looking at it too much. I mean, obviously you want to see what frequencies you're changing, but you want to listen to more of what it's doing to your sound. So you might find sometimes that your samples are a little dry or lacking excitement. There's tons of effects you can use on Ableton, and if you got a guitar, you should use an amp simulation. So I'm going to pull one of those up. So I brought in the amp on a clean setting. I really didn't do much to the knobs here, and it already brings a lot more presence to the guitar sample, just brings it into the beat more. Now the whole time throughout your mixing, you want to be watching your levels, because as you add plugins, it's going to change the volume of your track, so you want to make sure that you're adjusting that as you go as well. So I added a little bit of reverb and delay to the guitar because it's more of a slower, chill, relaxed beat. I feel like it kind of needed that to kind of open it up and add some space. Next Next, I'm going to direct my attention to the bass. Now usually that's pretty straightforward, just holding it down. Now real quick, I want to show you guys this. When you go to the sampler here, if you go over here to the filter, there's clean, that's what it's usually on, but you can set it to these distortion settings, so OSR sounds pretty good. Just a little bit, just to add a little bit of color, some distortion to bring it out a little bit more. For my drums, I usually go for some kind of EQ and compression that's gonna glue it all together. So I'm gonna go to Utilities, Audio Effect Rack, and then Mixing and Mastering, and I'm just gonna pick one of these filters and see which one sounds good. Alright, so the final thing I want to do here to wrap this up is one of my favorite things to do is some sidechain compression on the sample using the drums. So I got my compressor here. There's a little tab here to open this window. Make sure it's on sidechain, and you want the input from the drum rack. That never fails to do the job of just kind of wrapping everything together, making it sound like one coherent beat. So all I'm doing here, really, set the ratio pretty low. Most of these settings you can leave, but you want to play with the threshold so it's not hitting it too hard unless you want that. In this case I kind of do. And then the output, you just bring it up just a little bit, and the dry and wet I just bring down just a little. Alright, that's going to conclude this beat, so thank you guys so much for watching, and please consider subscribing if you want to see more videos like this. Also, leave a comment letting me know what you're struggling with, what other kind of beats you want to see me make, and until next time, Broke Shady out. Broke Shady.